What does that typically look like? I'm curious if it is as varied within the autism spectrum as it is within the fetal alcohol spectrum.
Yeah. Well, within the autism spectrum, again, it is one of the diagnostic criteria for getting a diagnosis. And I think it displays or it manifests in different ways. So it could be for someone just having challenges, um, whether it's, you know, communicating too directly for the context of the situation. And again, I hate to phrase this in ways that are so negative because that's how the diagnostic criteria tends to do it. Because a lot of
Yes.
times it's like, well, who says that something is too direct? And does it depend on, a lot of times a group of autistic people might, have no problems communicating with each other. It's just sort of the mixture of other, non-autistic people
Right.
talking with it. So it might just be trouble or challenges, either understanding someone else's viewpoints or very sort of what they call like black and white thinking, so rigid
Mhm.
thinking, which can then
Mhm.
result in, going through communications. They're related in a certain way.
Yeah.
And then other people on the autism spectrum may have much more sort of I'll say serious or communication challenges that affect them much more. There are, a large percentage of people who are autistic are also non-speaking,
Mhm.
which in many, many, many cases, as we're finding out as the science advances, they have the concept of, language in their heads. They understand what everyone's saying. Often they, very, very aware, very capable of learning. But because there is sort of what they call a brain body disconnect, those communications, like the motor planning and motor coordination of speech and other movements in your body, just doesn't really give them a traditional way to either speak or sometimes communicate effectively without finding some form of like an augmentative and alternative communication, like a tablet or a
Mhm.
keyboard or a letterboard or some other way to be able to learn to communicate. A
Yeah.
lot of times people in those situations unfortunately get very stigmatized and people tend to think that they have, much lower intelligence than they actually have. And it's just really a
Yeah.
communication challenge
Yeah.
that they have.